In my last video, I talked about the internet being both the deliverer and the destroyer for jazz musicians. It's a good thing to be the deliverer and offer all that content. I can't think of another time in the history of music where so many people had access to such great music. But I also can't think of a time when so few people paid for it. We're in a situation now where most musicians can't make any money at all from selling music. In the heyday of the recording industry, when a small group of executives controlled the recording and distribution of music on planet Earth, musicians did make money. Not as much as the labels, but they did get paid to record, and they sometimes got money from royalties. Nowadays, because so much music is free on the internet, most musicians don't make anything. So the old enemy was the recording label. The new enemy are the technology companies. There's one company that's responsible largely for the situation. As much as people consider Steve Jobs to be a savior of sorts, introducing positive technology that's changed the world, and I'm certainly an example of someone who utilizes Apple technology, as soon as the 99-cent price was applied to music, was applied to tracks, that was the end of recorded music, at least the sale of it. And now Apple also controls the distribution of music through iTunes, the largest retailer of music in the world today. Now, I'm not saying that iTunes is unfair, because I know people who work for iTunes, and I know that they try to offer as much music as they can and feature a lot of great music. And if you go to the iTunes Jazz page, you'll see a great selection of music. But the reality is that most musicians can't get any attention on iTunes because there's so many musicians out there now. Apple with iTunes and Google with YouTube really control the music world at this point. I can't believe that Kind of Blue and A Love Supreme and all these great recordings are available on YouTube. The entire recording. Of course, it's very easy to make a copy of something off of YouTube, so why buy the albums? We've got a situation here where we've got big companies who are profiting and musicians don't make anything. Google and Apple are two of the most profitable companies on the planet right now. And for all their good works, supposedly, their great technology, they're just giant corporations whose only concern is money. They're not trying to save the world or anything like that. They're not even trying to help people. Sadly, I have no solution to this problem. I'm bemoaning the situation. I have no idea what to do about it. How do you convince people they should actually pay for music? There are generations of people out there who've never purchased music. And how can one convince these corporations like Spotify and Pandora they should treat musicians fairly and pay them while they get rich? And I utilize YouTube and Spotify and Pandora just like everybody else. I'm trapped in the middle here. On one hand, I want to help musicians. On the other, I want to listen to music. What do I do? What can anybody do now? It's a horrible situation. What do you think we can do?